Hey everybody, and welcome to Robin's house. I wanted to talk about this card today so we can show you how to put it together, but I also wanted to show you how I can. So this is very much looking like shiplap, isn't it? I got this idea because I have these hanging in my bathroom, and I thought I could create that. So this is what I did. And so the technique that I have for doing this is creating your card base, which on this case, I'm going to put it on top of periwinkle because that's the card color we're featuring this month. But also because that'll show through a little bit. It'll bring more shadow than just putting white on white will bring. And then, so what I did was I cut a piece of white cardstock exactly the same size. And so I intended to have 1/2 inch strips with like a 1/16 of an inch missing. So what I did instead was cut my strips. Instead of a 1/2 inch, I cut them a 1/2 inch minus 1/16, so that 1/16 will be in that space. So in theory, all of my strips should fit. So let's give it a go. So first thing you do is you're going to take your strips and you're going to put it on the top. Now there's two schools of thinking on this, I suppose. You can start at the top and just work your way down. But I started on all of mine, I started at the top and the bottom, and I worked my way to the middle because I felt like it was easier to adjust. But I'm going to show you something else in the meantime. So we've got our bottom and our top. Then you take your strips and you lay them out, making sure that you have enough strips, which you should if you cut it the exact same size as the one below it. So you lay out your strips and make sure that your spacing is good, because in theory, you can make adjustments in the middle. You can go back to your trimmer and cut a strip that's just a skosh a bit bigger or a skosh a bit smaller in order to work out the perfect meeting in the middle. And I am going to need to scooch my things because I must not be working with a 1/16 of an inch. This is a lot of the reason why I tell you guys to lay things out before you glue them down. And so what I'm going to need to do is when I'm gluing these, I'm going to need to put them very close together. Or I'm going to have to go and trim off one that's a little bit smaller. But adjusting before you even start gluing is the most easiest way to tackle that. So I'm going to start gluing things down. Then I'm going to pause it in the middle and get it going. And then if there's an adjustment, I'll bring you back. So just a tiny bit of space. And then I'll try and make this one just a little bit tinier. So this is not hard, but I would say it's a little tricky. Okay, so I'm going to take a break. I'm going to get some more in here. I'll be right back. Okay, now we're back. I have my last two. I didn't make any adjustments other than to put it down a little bit closer than I intended. Looks like we're getting pretty close here. So I'm just going to kind of tack this one without pushing it down. I'm going to get this one, tack it without actually pushing it down. And it looks like I do need a little bit more space. So I'm going to just create a little bit of space there. And then this one, kind of the magic of trimmers and, eyeballing it. I've got a little bit more space on this side than I've got on this side. But I've basically got a little shiplap thing all ready to go onto the card. And I even have a couple leftovers. That's because I cut it at 6 inches instead of 5.5. But it's really basic and simple. It's just a little bit of lining it up. And if you have an insane amount of trouble doing this, my solution would be just get those down and then cut off the edges and make this fit, make a card around whatever this ends up being. And that's easy too. So fun times. Thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting.